What's happening, Miami? What's happening? This is Red Pill Rolly coming to you live from the Radio Red Pill headquarters in Miami, Florida. And welcome to 2021. This is our first broadcast for the year, and it is a doozy. Guys, I probably started this podcast 10 times. I'm recording it. I'm not live. Really, I'm not live. I'm not streaming it. But I've had to re-record it and record it and re-record it and record it and re-record it because it's a difficult one. It's a difficult one to record. I've waited and I've started it, and then I've waited a day and then I started it, and I waited a day and I started. And the reason is things are happening really fast. And I don't do podcasts every day because I have a normal life and I want to bring you stuff that's important, but bring it to you after it's been analyzed and after I've thought about it. And after I know what, I make sense of it, okay? I think the biggest issue we have is that we're impulsive. We see something and then we just go with it and we believe whatever the hell we see, and you don't really analyze and see what the hell's going on. There's a lot of stuff that's happened in the recent days, and I think we need to look at it, okay? My heart is really heavy since January 6th. A lot of crazy things happened that shouldn't have happened, things that I don't condone, but things that I do understand, and it's a difficult thing. My heart is heavy, not because of the election, not because of losing, or you don't know how to lose, or Trump and fanaticism. No, man. My heart's heavy because what's always been the most important to me has been the United States. This country has been what's been the most important to me. And this country is what is being lost in the middle of all this craziness. And, everybody likes to blame Donald Trump for everything. Nobody likes to blame anybody else. But if I had to place the blame on someone, it would be the media and the big tech. And they are proving it, which is fanning the fires that shouldn't be fanned right now, because right now things are on edge. And in my opinion, the spark's been lit. And if you fan the fire, Tucker Carlson said it the other day, extreme measures garner extreme results. And when you do things that are extreme on one end, you're going to get extremism on the other end. And right now, we're playing ping pong in the middle. Most of us are somewhere in the middle, just dodging bullets. And, firing from the right, firing from the left. And we're just trying to make sense of it. And the problem is that, like everywhere else, you get caught in the crossfire, and that's where everybody gets hurt. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, the two extremes are still going to be there, so my heart's heavy. Unlike most of you, I review and I look at this political landscape all the time, and that's a blessing and a curse, okay? It's a blessing and a curse. Sometimes I wish that I didn't have this burning desire to share things with you and to fight for justice and to figure out what the hell's going on, and I didn't, and to care so much about the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and everything that I'm going to talk to you guys about today, but I do. And I was born that way. I don't know how to fix it. But listen, thankfully, some people are born like that, because if not, this country wouldn't be where it is today, So I'm going to try to shorten this podcast. I don't know how I'm going to do it, because there's a lot that I want to tell you, and there's a lot that I got to get off my chest. And at the end of the day, these podcasts are really sort of like a Bible. I mean, a Bible, like a diary. I hope it's not a Bible to anybody. Okay. Definitely no. I take that back. It's more like a diary, right? Come out here, you vent, and we share things, and I tell you things so that you can maybe either connect with them or not connect with them. But at the end of the day, I don't want you to feel like you're alone or like you're crazy for the things that you believe. Okay. I'm pretty sure that a lot of you feel like I feel with the things that I'm going to tell you. But just so you guys understand, for those of you really who truly know me, my entire life has pretty much revolved around the government, unfortunately, for good or bad, whether for glory or penance, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I've been around the government and trying to do stuff for this country, or been involved in the country. And since early on, I dedicated myself to protecting this country, the freedoms and the rights, because I understand the glories that this country offers you. Okay. I've always felt like I needed to make a difference. I feel like my life was that's my calling, and it sucks when you can't. and I know what patriots feel like when they're out of the fight. I get it. Okay, so I'm saying it right here and right now. I don't condone what happened on the steps of the Capitol. I don't condone it. It was wrong. We should never defile American institutions. You don't defile American institutions. You defeat American institutions. Okay, you work democratically to defeat American institutions that are doing you wrong. Okay, if you defile an American institution, you are no better than the people who defile your rights. So you cannot do that. That is not the right way to do it. The problem is that although I condemn everything that they did. And if I said I condone what happened, I meant I do not condone what happened. But although I condemn what happened on the Capitol steps and what happened inside the Capitol building, I also understand why. Okay? It happened. And why it happened is what you guys should be focused on. What happened, you just can't take it back. Okay? I got a phone call today from somebody who I love, and they told me, hey, you've been around security, firearms, and you've been there. What would you have done? Would you have fired on the crowd? I said, no, of course not. Oh, but you see, because Black Lives Matter and this, and look, listen, stop with the Black Lives Matter. The Black Lives Matter movement, which is a Marxist movement, is a movement that's taking advantage of black people in this country all over the place. That's what it is. Okay. And the Black Lives Matter movement went to Washington, D.C., and they lit a church on fire. They lit cop cars on fire. And they are the movement that we're saying, pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon. They are anti-police. The people that stormed the Capitol are anti-politics. They are anti-politicians. They're not there to hurt the police. Yeah, a cop got killed. You know what? It might have been the guy that shot the lady in the neck. And that is why you cannot shoot. Because I don't care if you have 100 guys with 30 bullets in each of their magazines. Okay? 100 guys with 30 bullets in their magazines equals 3,000 rounds. Of the 3,000 rounds, you may kill 3,000 people. But you also got to reload. And you've got 200,000 pissed off patriots right behind those 3,000 people. And I'm telling you right now that the reason that the people have power is because when the people unite, you cannot stop them with bullets. It doesn't work. You can't stop them with tanks. You can't stop them. That's precisely why the Black Lives Matter movement is being used in this. They're trying to turn this whole thing, they're diverting you. And if you were a smart person, you would realize that they're diverting your attention from the reason why the patriots were there. They're diverting it into a racial battle. It's the same card they play every time. It's the only way to get white America to feel sorry for themselves. It's the only way for you to feel sorry for yourself and to shame you into submission. They're shaming you. They're shaming you into submission. That's what they're doing. They don't want you to unite with the patriots. They don't want black people to unite with white people. They don't want it. But I've told you a million times, in the military, we're all Americans. We all bleed green. I don't care what color you are. I don't care. I just don't. Nobody cares. Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Tiger Woods. Nobody cares if you're black. What they care about is what you represent. If you represent goodness, honor, integrity, my God, thank you. The most welcoming people in the world are white people. They welcome people. Okay, but if you represent being a hood rat, having a Glock in your pocket with a sweaty and a FUBU shirt and walking around with with guns and their buddies, and you get pulled over by a cop and what's up, man? Why you pull me over? And you talk like a fucking idiot, you're gonna get in trouble because the police is just as scared of dying as you are. So when you act a fool, right? What do we talk about? Extreme measures garner extreme results. If you act like an extreme idiot, you're going to be treated like an extreme idiot. That does not mean that racism doesn't exist, but there's just as many racist white people as there are racist black people. But they're in the extremes. They're in the fringes, just like the people that stormed the Capitol are the fringes, possibly even not even of the right, for sure they're not Trumpists. No solid That doesn't mean patriots weren't in the White House. Understand something, because there was patriots. You're damn right. You know what? If I would have been 26, I would have been in there too. I would have gone in, because not because you don't care about the institutions, not because you're there, because you're fed up with being lied to. They're fed up with being bullied, prodded by the media. Patriots, Americans are fed up. They're fed up. I'm fed up. Everybody's fed up. The difference is, I'm 44 years old. I have too much to lose. I don't want to go stand on the steps of the Capitol and create that kind of havoc. I'm not a young guy who has nothing to lose and who has everything, who's out of the fight and who's sitting there. But when I was 26, I would have been there. Now, I would have never, ever broken a window. I would have never hurt a police officer. In fact, I can almost guarantee you that whatever police officer was hurt, he had people trying to save him, because they're not against the police. Now, if it was the guy that shot that girl, they probably got pissed off, and somebody beat the crap out of him and killed him, which is horrible. I'm not condoning it. I'm just telling you, when you're in that environment, you can't open fire. What did they expect? When Black Lives Matter moved on Washington, they tore down statues. They spit on police officers. They threw Molotov cocktails at them. They lit police officer cars on fire. They lit the church on fire, and nobody got shot. Okay, the cops took it. Okay, and they let them go. What happened in Portland when they burned down the police station? You think that those police officers didn't have enough firepower in there to wipe everybody out? You think that if they had started shooting, they couldn't have stopped that and quelled it? You don't think so? I'm sure they could have. I'm sure they could have. They could have lit it off, and it could have popped off. And guess what? Well, what, 300, 400 dead people? Big deal, right? What do you guys want the cops to do? What did you want? The left is so biased. The left is so out of their mind that they are actually, reasonable people are asking me if I would have opened fire. If I would have opened fire on the people marching on the Capitol. Now, could they have used rubber bullets? Could they have had more people there? Maybe they didn't expect that kind of thing. Yeah. So it makes me think, if the vice president of the United States is in that chamber, and all the Congress, think about that, all the senators are in that chamber. If the security for that chamber was less than what it should have been, it makes me feel like they did it on purpose. It makes me feel like it was a setup. Because why? And why were the cops letting them in? Why? Why do you think? Somebody gave the order. Why? It wasn't because they were racist. It wasn't because, oh, look at all the nice white people. Maybe it was because they agreed. Maybe it wasn't a setup. Maybe they agreed with why those patriots were there. Maybe the cops are tired of Black Lives Matter telling them that they're pieces of shit. Maybe the cops are tired of people looking at them and having and walking around with a target. You don't know what it feels like to walk around with a target on the back of your head all day. You don't know what that feels like. What do you think it feels like to be a police officer today? You think they feel like the crowd and people have their back? No, that's why every time I see a police officer having lunch, I buy him lunch. And I leave him a little note. I don't even tell him it was me. I just walk out the door and leave him a little note that says, hey, don't forget, we got your back. Thank you for what you do. And you leave it there. And you let them, and you buy them lunch. You know why? Because that person's a human being. And they go home to their family. And the same goes for the Capitol Police. Those people would have to, you don't know what it feels like to kill an enemy. Imagine what it feels like to kill an American. And you have the balls to ask me if I would shoot? No, I wouldn't shoot. I wouldn't shoot on the blacks, and I wouldn't shoot on the whites. I wouldn't shoot on nobody. Okay, it's a bad position to be in. Because when you're sitting there and there's Americans and they're pissed off and they're storming the Capitol, you put yourself in their shoes and you think about, imagine the fear that goes through your blood when you're sitting there and there's 200,000 people walking at you with flags and chanting and saying, this is our house. Yeah, the Patriots, the ones that went in, shouldn't have done it. I agree, 100%. But if you're a police officer in that situation, you can't de-escalate that easily. You just can't. Now, you don't have to let them in the Capitol. And I guarantee you that there were agitators that pushed through. And I guarantee you that, because think about it. What better way to make the movement look out of control than that. And you think that they're incapable of that? You think it's a conspiracy theory that they did that? You think that it's not far-fetched at all. It's not far-fetched. Both sides would play a game like that. In this case, they played better chess. They really did. And I'm so sad. I'm sad because I understand why the Patriots were there. I understand why they went in after the agitators opened up. And yes, that's what I believe happened. I believe agitators broke the windows, opened up, and I understand why the Patriots went in there, and I understand why they got pissed off, and I understand it because I know for the last 4 years what's been going on. So I understand it so much. I started Radio Red Pill to talk about this because it's boiling inside me. So how can you expect me to shoot an American who's coming in there and is not mad at me, is mad at the government who's screwing me and screwing the American? I understand it. So no, I wouldn't have shot. And no, it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing because the violence caused by Black Lives Matter. Let me ask you something. How many businesses did the Trump supporters burn down? How many black neighborhoods did they walk through and burn down? How many times did you hear somebody use a defamatory language, something bad or racist in this movement? So why is the media telling you and making this about race? Ask yourself that question. Why are they making it about race? They're making it about race because that's how they manipulate you. It's not about race. This is about the government. It's about the violations of our rights. It's about America. That's what this is about. That's what we're doing. That's what this movement is about. It's not about Trump. Trump is a piece of the puzzle. He's not the one that broke this government. He's not the one that broke this party. He's the one that exposed the corruption in all of them. He's the one that exposed it. Why do you think people love him and revere him so much? It's not because of how charming he is. It's not because of how intelligently he speaks. It's not because of what a polite guy he is and because he's, super, super kind. And no, it's because he is representing, he has vocalized what all of us have been saying. So now the people that don't like the way he is are bypassing the fact that he is telling the truth. He is exposing the truth. And you don't like the vessel through which the truth is being exposed. He's not the murderer in this movie. He's not the murderer. He's the coroner. He's the guy who's dissecting the murder and saying, hey, the murderer were these guys. He's the guy that's opening the door for you. You don't hate the message. You don't kill the messenger. The guy that sent the message. He's telling you, the messenger's just saying, whoa, easy. They sent the message. I'm just telling you, don't kill me. Now, if you want to kill me because you're pissed, that makes you an idiot. That's what it does. Forget about Trump, man. Don't make it about Trump. Make it about America. And for you to understand, look, my entire life, I never asked this government for anything that I didn't earn. I never asked the government for nothing that I didn't deserve, okay? I believe in individual effort. I believe in individual success. Okay. I have taken responsibility for my mistakes and I have paid greatly and dearly for them. And I have built myself back up because I realized that it was my fault. Okay. And that my mistakes led me down my path and I took responsibility. I don't blame racism. I don't blame the police. I don't blame the government. I don't blame anybody but myself. That's what you need. That's what you need to do. Stop blaming Trump. Don't blame anybody but yourself for the problems that you have. Blame your own decisions. And let's move on. Now let's look at what the politicians are doing to our country. Okay? Like I said, my convictions have not been infallible. Okay? But I will tell you one thing. Regardless of where I was in life or what I was doing, the base and the foundation on which I stand has never faltered. I have always believed in goodness, in kindness, in service to my country. First comes your family, then comes your country. The problem that we have is actually, in reality, first comes God, then comes your family. And then comes your country. And the problem is that they've already taken God away from us. And they're taking away the country. The only thing you have left is your family. And I'm going to ask you a question. Look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, what would you die for? What would you die for? What principle, what belief, what anything outside of your children, outside of your family, would you risk your entire life for? You only get one. This is your life. What would you risk your life for? What is greater than you? What I'm going to tell you is there are people that are going to find what that is. There are people that are going to have an answer to that. But patriots, the answer is their country. This country. They love this country. This country. They fight for this country. They will die for this country. And the spark has been lit. And it's been lit by the media, by big tech, by Democrats, and by the left. That's what lit the match. Donald Trump did not light the match. You understand? They lit the match. Donald Trump exposed what they were doing. And to burn it all down, they lit the match. And they're freaking fanning the flames. The problem that people don't understand is that it's getting bad. And you're getting to the point of no return. I want you to picture a car, okay? I want you to picture a car. And this car represents socialism, communism, Marxism, globalism, everything that is anti-American, okay? And if you don't have a problem with anything in this car, then you're the problem. Because you're sitting in a country that offers you all this glory and all the opportunity because of its makeup, because it's a republic. It's a constitutional republic. The Constitution, the Bill of Rights, offers you the ability to do whatever the hell you want. And you take it for granted, and then you don't care about globalism and social. It's a big world. We're all connected. Let's all forget about it. China doesn't think like that. China doesn't think like that. Russia doesn't think like that. You're being taught to think like that because they want to subvert you so that you won't be a superpower anymore. That's what is happening, and you're allowing it. And then the car, with socialism and all that, you're on the top of the mountain, the highest mountain. You know why? Because we're in America. We're at the peak. We're the biggest freaking mountain on earth. We are the only superpower on this planet. Okay? China is trying to come up. So guess what? They're coming up this side and they're pushing you down the hill. And down the hill you go. And now socialism and Marxism and all this shit is coming down the hill. And people will tell you, bro, America's massive. Don't worry about it. It's never going to be a socialist country. America is never going to be an issue. That's exactly what people in East Berlin thought. That's exactly what people in Cuba thought. That's exactly what people in Italy thought. That's exactly what people in Venezuela thought. It'll never happen. Don't worry about it. And guess what? Little by little, it started happening because people don't want to work. They don't want individual. They don't want to be individually responsible. So they don't want to be, they want to be taken care of. They want to be everything free and everything socialized. And oh my God, if you have a piece of bread, then I have a piece of bread. And then he has a piece of bread. And before you know it, a piece of bread spread out over 100 people is nothing but crumbs. Don't be fucking stupid. So now the car is coming down and people will tell you, oh, don't worry. America's so big. On the way down, something will stop it and push it right back up. And then it'll go the other way. And then on the way down here, something will stop it and push it. And we're just going to stay at the top of the world. No, every great empire falls. The car is coming down the hill and it's going so fast. It is going so fast. You're not going to be able to stop it and push it back up. You're just not. You're letting it slip away. And the problem is that the media, the deck is stacked against you. It's not just socialism and Marxism and everything and globalism. It's everything that's stacked on top of it. Big tech, mainstream media, the left, the Democratic Leftist Party, racism, everything that they're giving you that is anti-American is stacking on there. So what do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen now when Biden takes over? You're happy that Orange Man bad. He's gone. Biden's got the White House. The Democrats have the House because we only won 22 seats instead of what we needed, but we won a ton. And they have the Senate. All three houses. They also have a movement that they're going to call the Trump, movement, whatever the hell they want to call it, that they're going to use as justification for tightening that noose. They're going to use it now So there's only three ways out of this, guys. There's only three ways out of it. I've played it out 64 million ways from Sunday since the election, really. But we were praying on this on the Senate not going blue, just as checks and balances. You've all heard checks and balances. Well, guess what? Checks and balances is good. It's good both ways. It's not good 100% one way, and it's not good 100% the other way. It keeps the car near the top. Okay? But what's happened now is the deck's been stocked, and that car's on the way down, and everything's on top. Okay? It's one way. It's a one-way street. It's going straight fucking down to hell. Straight down. So now you know what? There's only three ways out of this. The first way is we do nothing. We do nothing. We sit back. Nothing happens, and Biden takes over. They stack the deck even more. Probably stack the courts. They turn Puerto Rico, maybe Guam, maybe DC. They start turning them into states, and they stack the Senate. They stack the House, and they continue on the blue path to higher taxes, more social programs, abortions whenever the hell you want, however you want them. All the things that really are that matter, because if you think about it, when have you debated? When have you heard a debate based on the facts, on the policies of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris? It just doesn't happen. That nobody asks them. No journalist cares about what their policies are, and when they do, they submit a little manifesto. And then if you go look at it, go look at the Green New Deal, and go look at the things that they're proposing. All right, everything has to do with taking away money and taxing the crap out of everybody. Nobody's gonna want to be here, dude. If you got to work, I'm just gonna give you a little bit of math. Okay, if you got to work countless hours, 60 hours, 70 hours a week to make 150 grand, and they're gonna tax you 65 or 70% of your money, from that 150, you're gonna end up with 60 grand. Let's say after they tax you. If you can turn around and work a lot less and make 80 grand, and your tax bracket goes down to 30%, you're going to be around the same amount of money, and you're going to work a lot less. You're going to have a lot more time to do whatever. You're going to be weaker. The economy is going to be weaker. Plus, China owns all our debt. So what's going to happen when our economy gets weak, when businesses start disappearing again, when all the stuff that got righted under Trump because he's a business person and was trying to bring back manufacturing, when all that goes back over to China. Now, they're gonna bring manufacturing back under the guise of made in the USA, but they're not. It's gonna be all Chinese companies because China owns our debt. They're gonna start populating here. That's how they're going to subvert the United States, because at the end of the day, we owe them all the money. All this stimulus plans and all this shit, all that money, they're loans. We owe them the money. We owe a lot of people the money, but we owe them the most. So what happens when they call in their chips? What happens when they cash in their chips? Who pays them? And what happens if something happens and there's a war? Who's going to fight the war? Right? All that's happened so far as I know, is everything this year and the year before has been about how horrible America is. Do you think that the youth of America would be proud to fight in the military or to go back into the military under the Biden administration? Do you think that we're going to have a strong military? You think we're going to be able to? What do you think? No, you know what's going to happen? You think Anderson Cooper's going to go out there y quitarse una chancleta and meterle a caerle a chancletazo a los fucking chinos? You think that any of these people, Don Lemon's going to run out there and fight with the Chinese people? Nobody's going to fight, bro. There's nobody left. If the patriots don't feel like this country is behind them, they're not going to fight for this country. And the reason that we exist is because people fight and bleed for something above and beyond their children and their family. They fight for the country. There's no God in this country because they've taken it away. Your children are your children, so you don't have to fight with anybody. You don't believe in your country, there's nothing left. There's nothing, there's no patriotism, there's no nationalism. Let's just become globalists now. Like I had this conversation, I'm going back to scenario A, scenario alpha. Just don't do nothing. Let it all happen. Fuck it. That's it. It's happened everywhere else. Let's let it happen. It'll be a 50-year experiment, and we'll see what happens. Because in the next 2 years, they're going to stack the deck, and I personally don't trust the election process. So, and they're not going to do anything about it because they have it under control. So what's going to happen is 2 years later, nothing's going to happen. It's going to stay blue, and then it'll be another election, and that election, nobody's going to believe in it, and it's going to be another craziness. And at the end of the day, we're never going to get back in the White House. We're never going to have checks and balances. We're just going to go down this path. So, okay, we could just sit back and go, let's go down the path. Let's just, path of least resistance. Let's take the blue pill instead of the red pill, because the blue pill is easier to swallow. even though the blue pill is venom and we don't know it, and it's going to blind us, and we're just going to live basically like lemmings, right? Just like in the Matrix. The more I think about the Matrix, the more I realize what a masterpiece, what a cinematic, metaphorical masterpiece that movie is. Because not only is it a masterpiece religiously, it's a masterpiece socially. Because the Matrix, you take the blue pill and you stay in Wonderland. That's it. You stay here, you believe, and you do whatever the hell it is, and you go down. And it is the blue pill. And I'm telling you that sometimes movies show you the future. You take the blue pill, you're just going to stay in Wonderland. You're going to believe whatever the hell it is. You take the red pill, you're going to see reality, but then you're going to suffer. That's exactly what happens in the Matrix. And then you know what happens? You're going to have traitors. Traitors, there's no other way for it, that are going to see reality and they're going to take the blue pill. You know why? Because it's easier. Because with the blue pill, they don't have to face their past. They don't have to face their mistakes. With the blue pill, they can just betray all the people on the red side, and they can take the blue pill and they can go live happily ever after in their own elitist world. And all of us, all the pawns, all the ones that actually do the fighting, all the ones that actually do the work, all the ones that actually pay the taxes, all the ones that actually bleed for the country, we're all fucked. That's what happens. They take the blue pill. That you want to talk about something? Cypher in the movie, Morpheus tells Neo, if you take the blue pill, nothing will happen. If you take the red pill, and be sure, when you take the red pill, you can never come back. And Cypher finds a way back. You know how? By betraying them. Cypher is all these damn politicians that cannot hold the line. That's who Cypher is. They've seen the truth. They will not hold the line. They won't hold it. And they'll tell you that they're doing it for the sake of the democratic process. Yeah, that's exactly what they're going to tell you. And they're going to do it for the sake of America, even though they're selling out America in the process. It's a sad day, guys. It's a sad day. And I know everybody's saying, oh, look, don't be so dramatic. But I'm telling you, look, there's 3 ways. Let's go back to the 3 ways because I'm going to go crazy. But 1, we do nothing. Great. Everything goes to shit, just like I told you, America's lost. That's 1. 2, it pops off. They fan the flames. They try to impeach Trump. Something happens. God forbid there's an assassination attempt or there's something like that. God forbid that something like that happens, something major and catastrophic happens, because it will ignite a wildfire of epic proportions. Epic proportions. Because if you think the BLM riots, fires every night and all that, if you think that was serious, wait until you piss off the patriots. Wait until that fire ignites. Then it's going to be no holds barred. And then our enemies are just going to take advantage of us. So scenario 2 sucks because look, if the Patriots, if it pops off, you know what's going to happen? The people in power, who, by the way, are the real tyrants. Okay, everybody tells you that Donald Trump is a tyrant. Donald Trump's not a tyrant. He had an opportunity to be a tyrant a million times. He could have locked you down during COVID. He could have done a million things to you to be tyrannical. He hasn't been tyrannical. The guy has done everything possible to make everybody happy. He hasn't forced anything. He hasn't taken executive actions that have forced things down your throat. He hasn't done anything tyrannical. You know who's tyrannical? The people that ban you from Twitter. The people that call for the banning of free speech. Those people are tyrants. And they're telling you that he is the tyrant because they want you to be blind. They're brainwashing you. And then you're taking it. And then you tell people like me that we're crazy. I don't get it. I don't see how you can accept people taking away your rights, the rights that people fought for and died for, and just give them up so easily. I mean, it's horrible. I'll tell you what. People tell me, why do you do this? I'm going to tell you. You know, I'm not a religious guy. I don't go to church all the time. I believe in God. I believe in being good. I think God is critical. I try to teach my kids to be good. I try to explain to them what God is. I try to pray with them when I can, and you know, to make them know that being good is very important. But I will tell you that I have studied the Bible extensively, and I will tell you that I have seen certain verses that have made a huge difference in my life. And one of the verses I'm going to share with you right now, and that's Jeremiah 4:19. People tell me, why would you do this, Radio Red Pill, now? And I'm going to tell you. This verse says, my soul, I am in anguish, oh my heart. My heart is pounding in me. I cannot be silent, because you have heard, oh my soul, the sound of the trumpet, the alarm of war. My friends, the alarm has been sounded. I want to be clear. I'm not talking about a war of weapons. I'm talking about a war between the right and left. The war has begun, whether you like it or not. What the steps that people take now are what's going to determine how bad it's going to be. And it's bad if you go extreme on either side. If you go extreme left, the extreme right is going to freaking ignite. If you go extreme right, the extreme left is going to ignite. We don't want either one, but it's going that way. So, option 2 of what I see could happen is the extreme right is going to just fucking get mad. And when that happens, they're going to use everything in their power. The tyrants, the people in power are going to use everything in their power to ram it up you. They're going to tighten up security. They're going to tighten up surveillance. Your life is going to change for the worse. And they're going to use it to take away what rights you have left. So just so you understand, if you're a law-abiding citizen and you have done nothing wrong, and you have weapons to protect your family, and you have your own homestead, and you like to go to church, and you like to get together with your buddies on Friday nights at the Moose Lodge, all of that's going to go away. You're not going to be able to do it. You won't have the right to peaceful assembly, because any assembly is going to be monitored, and it won't be peaceful. It won't be considered a peaceful assembly, because if anybody's there not vaccinated or not, I mean, I know it sounds like a conspiracy theory, but that's the path you're going on. That is what happened recently in Venezuela. That is what happened in Cuba, where my family's from. That's what happened. It will happen here, and they're going to use the extreme measures that are happening to implement those rules. So I'm telling you guys, option 2 sucks. And option 3 sucks also. You know why? Because America gets disbanded. The only other thing that can happen is the states under the Bill of Rights, because the Bill of Rights is what gives you the power to be autonomous. It gives the states the powers to be autonomous. Okay? Under the Bill of Rights, the states don't have to listen to what the federal government does. You want an example of that? California is a sanctuary state. They have marijuana. Marijuana is illegal in the federal government. But it doesn't matter. The state does whatever the hell they want. Maryland, Colorado, that's a perfect example. Abortion rights are one way someplace, one way another place. The only thing that can happen is that certain states become sanctuary states for people that believe conservative or have conservative values. And that's all great, fine and dandy, right? Except for the federal government still subsidizes and gives those states money. And they can tighten that up whenever the hell they want. So those states are going to be hurting, even though they're also going to prosper, because a ton of people are going to go to those states. But at the end of the day, it's dividing the union. What makes us strong is the union. That's why I'm sad. It's darkness, and Biden was right. The winter of darkness is upon us. I mean, this is not good. Okay, America was born out of a war. Okay, just so you guys understand, what makes America great is not Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer, or definitely not Adam Schiff or Donald Trump or Ted Cruz. That's not what makes America great. What makes America great is one thing: the Bill of Rights. The Constitution makes America great. What makes America greater is the people that defend that Constitution, so that the governments don't take it away. The reason that the government exists is just to organize the people. But the people, this belongs to America, and you're letting it go. You're letting your rights go. America was born out of a war. The war started because the British government overstepped their bounds and they overtaxed the American colonists. So you know what? The American colonists said, hey, we can't live like this. We're living like we're basically slaves. It's slave labor. We cannot pay these taxes. Forget you. We're going to fight. So then they fought a brutal battle and wars for years and years. And in 1776, they declared their independence. And they continued to fight, okay, until a treaty was signed, a peace treaty in 1783, which was 8 years, right? 8 years after, or 7 years after. They declared independence. So for 7 years, hello, 7 years. Listen to what I'm saying. Fighting for 7 years on U.S. soil, in the oceans, There was no peace. It was fighting, war on this land. Okay. And then, just so you know, in 1791, they continued to fight. 1791, the Bill of Rights was enacted. That's the right. That's what gave you inalienable rights. It's what gave Americans what makes America great. That's what it is. It's the right of free speech. It's a right of peaceful assembly. It's a right of a free, honest press. Okay, not the shit that we have now. That's what makes America great. It's the Second Amendment. The right to a militia and the right to bear arms shall not be infringed. The Second Amendment, the most important thing after freedom of speech and freedom of press, which is what keeps the government in check, is the freedom to hold and have weapons to defend against a tyrannical government. That's the second one. That's the first one they're going to take away from you because they're already taking away your free speech. So the next thing they're going to take is that. Okay, and it's critical that you understand why I get so anxious and why I get so mad, because a lot of blood was shed to uphold that. But I want you to understand something. The Bill of Rights came in 1791, 13 years after that. 13 years after that, slavery was abolished above the Mason-Dixon line. How about that? It took 13 years after the Bill of Rights for white people to fight to save black people from being slaves above the Mason-Dixon line, because the Democrats that ran the South wanted to continue with slavery and picking cotton and plantations and all the shit that they did down here. They benefited from slavery. And you know what? They fought, okay? And they fought to keep slavery under the Mason-Dixon line. And in 1860, Abraham Lincoln, a Republican, came and said, hey, I'm running on the premise that all slaves are going to be free. And you know what? The Confederates attacked Fort Sumter, and that was the end of that. We started a civil war, 400,000 people, almost 500,000 people, 500,000 Americans died, killing family members sometimes. You talk about having something, a conviction, talk about that. Okay, but no. You want to tell me that America sucks? America sucks. People have sacrificed more for America than all these fucking artists have ever done. They haven't sacrificed anything. They have talent. And the United States has a system that has made them famous. And all they do is turn around and talk bad about that system that gave them the right to do whatever the hell they do. You think that's right? If you think that's right, you have a problem. That's wrong on 100 million different levels. It doesn't mean racism doesn't exist. I'm not saying that. Racism does exist, but it exists on both sides. People are different. Accept it. Okay, but it doesn't matter. You saw that whole protest. Not one person used a defamatory language or said anything bad about black people or Indians or Jamaicans or anything. Nobody said anything about anybody. Okay, the reality is they were there because the government is screwed up. They weren't there because of race. So now that you know this, all this history happened. Okay, they fought the Civil War and then they put in the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment, so you know, the 14th Amendment is the amendment that says that African Americans, that people of African descent can be considered citizens of the United States. That's what the 14th Amendment says. And since then, citizens of the United States. Stop it. Yes, there was racism. Yes, the South sucked for black people. It was horrible. It's not right, but it's over. It's done. Stop blaming everything. Stop letting them divide us. Okay. So now that the history lesson is over and you understand what what the Bill of Rights was about. Okay. You got to understand that they're taking it away from you little by little. It's getting pulled out from under you like a little rug. Foop, and they're taking it away. And that's what I'm hurt about. That's what this podcast is about. I needed to vent, but I also needed to let you know that it's not over. It's not that it's not over, that Biden isn't going to win or whatever. Whatever happens in the next 10 days, you have to understand that whatever happens in the next 10 days, you cannot, as a human being, if you have principles, and I said this way back in my first podcasts, if you have principles that matter to you, you cannot kneel. You cannot yield. Okay? A defeated person, or losing a battle, losing an election, losing anything, it doesn't mean that you're defeated. You're only defeated, like completely out of it, when you quit. Okay? You lose an election, you move on. Okay, you lose. Yes, you have to continue to fight to make America better. Okay, make America great again. Unfortunately, it's a great slogan. You got to continue to fight to make America great again. Now, if the other side wants to silence you, there's a problem. That's dictatorial. If they're telling you, if they're shaming you so that you can't say what you want to say, they are being the dictators. They are being tyrannical. You should be able to say what you want to say because that's how this country was made. That's what makes us a country. We got to live with the other side, whether we like it or not. They have to live with us. You have to live with them. If the country divides, we will be weaker. And we're heading down that path. So unfortunately, America's lost. The America that I love is lost. And I, myself, being a patriot, wouldn't want my kids to fight in the military right now. Because what are they doing it for? Who? The 75 million patriots? Or the 80 million who don't give a shit about them? Who exactly are they fighting for? That's like you, just a quick metaphor before I go. It's like you don't believe in guns. And your neighbor does. And you're like, oh, we don't need guns. We have the police. Okay, great. Your neighbor says, look, I'd rather take care of myself. This is my ranch. This is my property. I take care of my own stuff. Oh, okay, great. Okay, then the world goes to shit and people start robbing people and there's an EMP blast or something happens where the government ends up in a situation like you're in now and people start robbing people because, supply trains are a little weak and you're not getting, the Publix isn't getting toilet paper, let's say, and you can't get anything. And all of a sudden, your neighbor's house, right next to your house, is not getting attacked. But your house, everything you stored up and all your stuff is getting stolen all the time because you call the cops and the cops are protecting their own house. The cops are protecting their house. They're protecting their police station. They're protecting the politicians who tell you that you don't need guns. That's who the cops are protecting. But then you got to go to your neighbor and go, hey, buddy, listen, I'm sorry. Can I borrow a gun? Your neighbor's going to go, no, sorry, buddy. Get the fuck out of here. That's what your neighbor's going to say. Because now he needs it. So my point is, don't wait until it's too late. Think for yourself. Ask yourself questions. Be a smart person. And stay peaceful. But we have to continue the fight. You have to continue to educate people the same way that the liberal left has educated people in the ways of socialism and the ways of globalism. We need to continue to educate people in the ways of nationalism and patriotism, because this is the United States. The minute that they start cutting off the voices like they're doing now, people on the left have to jump. You have to see that silencing the other side is not the answer. Nobody has asked to silence anybody. On the right, nobody's telling you, hey, silence Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or Bernie Sanders. Nobody's saying that. They can talk all they want. We'll call them idiots, but they can talk all they want because we understand what it's like. If you want to silence the other side, you're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong, and you're going to create a fire because you're trying to keep us from an inalienable right, the right of free speech. So, again, I condemn what happened at the Capitol building, but I totally understand why it happened. And if you don't understand, you're disconnected from the United States. You're disconnected from the reality of what's happening. And that's where you can't be. So I tried to do it as short as I could, but I had to get all that out there. Okay. Listen, I love you guys. I'm sorry that, it's not going to be a super, it's not going to have a bunch of bells and whistles on this podcast. It is more a podcast to tell you guys how I feel about all the recent events, to tell you guys to try to come together. Okay, if somebody has something that they want to tell me, let's talk about it. You guys want to figure something out? Send me an email and we'll talk about it. If you disagree with something, let's just talk about it. But stop with the cancel culture. If you don't like what I say, don't listen to me. That's fine. I don't listen. I promise you, I don't listen to leftist media. I can't. I listen to leftist media and it feels like my brain cells are being sucked out of my head through my nose. Sick. Every time I listen to these people, every time they rationalize something that is irrational, I lose another brain cell. I can't do it. I just can't do it. So thank you for listening. And I will tell you that the fight isn't over. It just may be a different fight. I'm not saying that nothing is going to happen between now and the 20th. There may be something that happens, but I'm not going to make any predictions because my job is not to incite nor to predict. My job is to report. Okay. I can't tell you how I feel about what's happened. And I can tell you that if you're a smart person, you will understand and you will know that 99.9% of patriots are not like what went into the Capitol building. But you'll also know that 99% dwindles down to about 50%. 50% of the patriots that were there will kick some ass if they need to. So there's a really thin line between what happened and what can happen. And I'm praying to God that what can happen doesn't happen. So thank you guys for listening. Again, Capitol Police, if you happen to be listening, you were in a bad spot. I totally sympathize. I would tell you that I'm so glad that I'm not in the Capitol Police. Police officers, I know that you want to go home and you want to go home to your family. I will tell you that, thank you for what you do. And God bless you. God bless all the first responders as always. And hopefully this thing turns out good for us. But listen, thank you guys for listening. And I don't want there to be any heat, but like always, we got to end it like we end it, right? So I don't want there to be any heat, but Candela.